Hey legends, welcome to the Q&A. Going to keep it pretty unedited over here, and I'm just going to add some info on that side so that you can see what it's like if we're problem solving with people in sessions or whatever. So uh, I've got 3 questions. I had 4, but I've summarized 2 of them into a separate question. So summarized it. Uh, the first question, I was actually speaking with this person, and I told them to write it into the Q&As, and I said I'll do it first. So they asked, I've been in the gym a while and I follow the same program for about 6 months. I've noticed that I can't lift any heavier on the lifts anymore and it's really affecting my motivation. How can I keep getting stronger? And I think it's great that someone has stuck to a program for 6 months. Like, I'm pretty open and I say that the longer that you can stick to a program, the more results that you're going to see from it because you takes time to develop the skills so that you can train harder and train with the appropriate intensity that are going to produce results. So amazing work sticking with a program like that. But at a certain point, you're going to hit that ceiling of what you can really get out of that program without changing some variations within there. So what I would say, and I spoke with this person, and they were very much like on a heavy lifting, 1 rep maxes, 3 rep maxes program. And then I told them, well, basically, it would be a good chance for you to step back and maybe go through a hypertrophy block, especially over winter. So that's going to allow you to put on muscle, which when you come back to the big lifts, you're going to have more muscle to work with. So, and it's a really good time of year over the next 6 months. We're in April, you hit October, you'd hit an 8-week cut after, and you're back in good shape for summer. You put on a lot of muscle over winter, and that's a pretty common cycle that I would use with a client anyway. Is putting on some weight over winter because we've got extra layers on. No one really cares, but we want to look better in summer. So focusing on hypertrophy training, going into a hypertrophy program for the next 6 months. I helped them out with that, and they were pretty pumped. So if you get stuck on lifts, if you get stuck on a program and you've really milked it for all that it's worth, you probably need to change up the stimulus. You need to change up the sets and reps and even the variations. So if you're being really specific, like if you're going from a barbell bench to like incline dumbbell bench, that's probably better for hypertrophy. For the chest, for some people, most people, I'd say. And you don't want to stray too far from big lifts. So let's say if that person shifted completely away from like bench press, squat, deadlifting, and they did like chest flies all the time and they never benched again, they're going to come back and they're going to feel like everything is so heavy. So you need to be able to maintain that intensity in those big lifts just in different rep ranges. And that's going to really help you get more out. And sometimes it's easier to push like your 8 rep max to a 10 or a 9 or a 10 rep than it is to turn your 2 rep max into a 3 or a 4. So it's going to be easier to get more progress when you're on that, or it looks like more progress on that hypertrophy plan, just adding reps each week, hit the end of the rep range, and then moving on to a heavier weight, complete the rep range, etc., etc. And having more food while you're in that bulk, making sure that you're getting better recovery or the most amount of recovery that you could basically get, including sleep, hydration, all that. That's going to be the next step for that person. So, question 2. This is the one I summarized. So, how do I lose the last 5 kilos on my weight cut? And both of them sort of might mention that it was pretty annoying, like it's pretty frustrating. And it is, like if you've been on a big cut and you feel like that you're so close to kind of your physique goal, I'll start with saying don't just think that you're going to get there and then all of a sudden like everything's all good. Once you get to these like final layers of body fat, it's really hard to maintain it there if you're not there before. So like if we're talking like shredded, but you need to make sure that what changes you are implementing are sustainable. Otherwise, if you have habits that aren't aligned with your actual lifestyle and you hit this goal and then your habits change back to previous, then your weight will change back to previous. Your body composition will change back to previous as well. So if you've been on a longer weight cut, then you need to give yourself some time to settled down. And so they call it a set point. So basically, our body adapts to whatever demands we place on it. So if we're forcing it to run on less calories, which is what we do when we're losing weight, the body will learn to run on less calories. And so you get to a certain point, and your body will just keep. You'll feel like you're hardly eating. You'll feel like you've lost all this weight. You're hardly eating, and you want to get to that next layer. And your body's basically like at the end of the cup, like it's empty. It's so you need to just stay where you are and just lock in that weight wherever you are right now. If you're stable there, embrace it and try to focus on increasing your food again, so that when you increase your food and get your body back to like, oh, this is our new set point. This is where our body is now going to sit at until we're ready. And depending on how long you've been cutting, so they say that about 50% of the time that you've been cutting, you should try and stay there before you try and cut again. So if you've been cutting for, let's say, 6 months and you went on like 10 kilo, 20 kilo cut, and you've got here where you are now, then you probably want to stay where you are for maybe 3 months minimum, right? If you've been through a drastic change, and just basically show that your body that this is where we are at now. This is where we are staying. We are not going back, and we are not, and we're okay with not doing that last bit. So if you feel stuck and you feel like when you're in the layers deep, the depths of a cut, you really feel like you can't eat anything. Your mood sucks. You're hungry all the time. So try to just maintain your weight and increase food a little bit and increase your energy in the gym. But what you might find is that you got to eat more food, and your body will just be like, yes, yes, yes. And you might not put on any weight, just like staying on top of that. So I would start with just 250 calories back in every day. So 1500 over the week. And then just slowly increase that until you're back at sort of, not like previously, obviously, but where you feel a bit more comfortable. And then what you can do 3 months down the road, you're like, okay, show my body that I am now this weight. You might put on a kilo or two. It doesn't matter if you've dropped 10. But then your body is going to be more susceptible to that change again. So you go to cut down and you can slowly decrease, and you're going to have this more slow curve on the way down, rather than thinking you need to go sharp curves. Sharp curves are generally like unsustainable, really rough on moods, so it can really impact your lifestyle a lot. So yeah, just increase a little bit, 250 calories a day, and try to maintain your weight for half the time that the cut that you've been on before you try and decrease your weight again and go through that next cutting phase. And yeah, that's definitely like a trap that a lot of people fall into. Is just like, I know I just need to work harder. It's like, no, your body's like at its wit's end. You need to give it a rest. You need to refuel. You need to revitalize, and then come back. And then when you go to cut again, your body will be way more susceptible. So that is my recommendation. There is 3-month maintenance called, and then you can go on probably another 8-week cut if you're looking to lose that 5, maybe 6 if it's pretty intense. So yeah, that would be there. And so question 3, person was basically saying that they're new in the gym, not really sure what to do, and doesn't matter if they are on a program or not. I think this sort of comes back to the first question. So first question, this person had been on a program, saw some great progress, and then they got stuck. Whereas this question, it's more like, if they don't know what to do, I imagine they might be bouncing around a little bit in the gym, not really following a routine, and doesn't matter if you are on a program or not. And in a way, it doesn't if you're seeing progress on everything that you do. So if you are bouncing around doing random machines and you're keeping track of it, and every time you do a machine, you've got whether it's on your notes, you've got a logging on your phone, or you're like writing it down old school. If you are progressing every time that you do stuff on everything that you do, then it doesn't necessarily matter too much. Like it does if you've got a specific goal. Like it's not going to help you progress towards a specific goal if you're just like if you're bouncing in different types of modalities, doing strength, hypertrophy, conditioning, cardio, like if you're doing everything but you've only got one goal, then that's not going to really help you towards your goal. But if you're progressing, then if you just progress on everything for years, then you'll end up really far from where you've come from. So in a way, it doesn't matter, but I don't know anyone that actually does that. So I would say that a lot of people don't actually track their lifts. They don't, if they're not on a program, they're not staying on top of what they lift week to week. They're not trying to add a rep each week for 6 weeks, 10 weeks. So I really recommend that people do just like follow a plan and just track your lifts. One of the most important things is that you are getting progressive overload on pretty much everything. So either your sets are going up, your reps are going up, your weights are going up, how hard your training is going up, you're feeling more confident with your technique. Like these are all things which are going to be signs of progress. And if you are doing random things all the time, it's going to be pretty hard to lock in and get good at certain things, good enough to feel like that you are getting better. Kind of like if you are learning different languages, you're like, I really want to get good at speaking Mandarin. And then so you do Mandarin for a day and then you're like, oh, maybe I'll learn some French today. You go and do some French and then like you're doing all this different stuff. And if you really want to speak Mandarin, you'll just speak Mandarin. You would just be like, oh, how can I lock in a plan that ensures that I'm going to get to being able to speak Mandarin as fast as I can, get more confident at it, be able to put sentences together better. So yeah, it's in a way it's similar in the gym. Like there's all these different modalities that you can use. And if you're just bouncing around doing different stuff, not really practicing the same thing over and over again, you're not going to solidify progress. And that's going to be really rough long term. You just won't see results. So I really recommend that you stick to a plan, find a program. We do programs, but yeah, just lock in and do the same thing for an extended period of time. And on that note, so like tying 1 and 3 together here, I often say to people like, it's so important that you're on a program, but when you want to change that program, there's only 2 reasons that you change a program, and they're as important as each other. Number 1 is you've milked that program for everything that you can get to, and you feel like that you can't do any more and it's getting frustrating, etc. Even if like you're training so hard that your body hurts and you need to change it up. That's one reason, and that's a good reason to change the program. The second one, and this is for what I say like everyday athletes, and this is everyday athletics. So this is what I say to everyone is like, if you get bored of your program, if it's not motivating, if you're not getting the same kick out of it as you once did, really good reason to change it up as well. Because like if you're bored and it's affecting your motivation levels, you don't feel like training, you don't feel like showing up because you've been doing that same thing for so long. Like different people will lock in and just do it for months. Some people want to change it every so often. So there's this balance of the longer that you can stick to it, you're probably going to see more progress. But if you really get bored and it's affecting your motivation to show up, then you probably should change the program so that you can just keep showing up. Because at the end of the day, the consistency of showing up is just as important as being able to stick to any plan long term. So I hope that sort of answered the question. So yeah, go get on a program. Yeah, that's it. I'd love to hear some more questions next week, and I'll try to timestamp these in the comments. Peace.